Hello? If you've been waking up feeling foggy, unfocused, or just off, even after a full night in bed, you're not alone, and you're not broken. What if I told you your brain has a secret cleaning system? One that only turns on when you sleep, and only if the conditions are just right? In this video, you'll discover why deep sleep is more than rest. It's how your brain detoxes, and how missing this one nightly process could be the hidden reason behind your mental fatigue, poor memory, and emotional instability. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to activate your brain's cleaning mode starting tonight. Before we dive in, let me ask you something. Where in the world are you watching from? Type your country in the comments. I'd love to know where this message is reaching. Now, let's begin. You might think sleep is about rest, closing your eyes, shutting off, disconnecting from the world. But what if I told you, while you sleep, your brain is doing the most important cleaning job of your entire life? And if you miss it, the consequences go way beyond just feeling tired. Imagine this. You're walking into your kitchen after a long day. The counters are a mess, the sink is full, but you're too exhausted to deal with it. So you walk away. Now picture that happening every single night inside your brain, because when you skip sleep or get bad sleep, your brain doesn't get a chance to clean itself. And yes, that's a real thing. It's not a metaphor. Your brain has an actual physical cleaning system. And the most surreal part? It only turns on when you're asleep, not during naps, not when you're just resting on the couch, only in deep, real, uninterrupted sleep. Every single day, your brain collects toxins, just from being awake, thinking, feeling, solving, scrolling. Every task you do generates microscopic waste, like mental exhaust fumes. And guess what? If that waste isn't flushed out, it stays there. Clogs things up, slows down your focus, messes with your memory. And over time, it can even trigger the early stages of diseases like Alzheimer's. Scary? Yes. But also empowering, because you do have control. You can activate this built-in brain cleanse. And the switch is simpler than you think. You just have to sleep. But not just any sleep. Not the kind where you wake up 3 times to check your phone. Not the kind where your brain is buzzing with anxiety at 2:17 a.m. Not the kind that comes after binging 5 episodes on Netflix and crashing on the couch. Your brain needs something deeper, calmer, still. The kind of sleep where your body lets go, and your brain gets to work. It's almost poetic. The moment your consciousness fades, your brain starts to clean itself. Neurons shrink. Fluids rush through the spaces between brain cells, like rivers washing away debris. And the garbage. Collectors of your mind, cells called glial cells, kick into gear. They don't just sweep the surface, they scrub it down. They clear out everything you don't need, leaving your mind clearer, faster, lighter. But here's the thing. Most people don't know if you don't give your brain that window. The trash just piles up, and you wake up foggy, forgetful, snappy. Not because you're lazy, not because you're broken, but because your brain is literally still full of yesterday's waste. So let me ask you something. How many nights this week did you truly sleep, deep and uninterrupted? How often do you wake up actually feeling clean on the inside, or are you one of the millions walking around with a brain that's quietly overloaded, dragging itself through the day because it never got a chance to rinse? This isn't about fear. It's about truth. And the truth is, sleep is not optional for your mental clarity. It's maintenance, and your brain depends on it. So tonight, when you think about skipping sleep again, remember this. There's a crew waiting inside. Your brain. Tiny workers with one job, to restore your mind, but they only clock in when you let go. Are you giving them the chance? You wake up, and your eyes are open, but your brain? Still fogged over. There's no clarity, no spark, just that heavy, confusing haze, like your thoughts are stuck behind glass. You get up, drink your coffee, try to focus, but it feels like you're wading through mental mud. Simple tasks feel harder. Words don't come as fast, and somewhere deep down, there's this quiet frustration. Like your mind isn't yours today, and maybe this isn't new. Maybe it's been happening for months, years. You start wondering, am I burnt out? Is this just aging, or is my brain just broken? But here's something you might not have considered. What if your brain isn't failing? What if it's just clogged? What if all that forgetfulness, that mental fatigue, the fog, the irritability, isn't about who you are, but what your brain's been forced to carry? Because when you don't sleep well, or deeply enough, night after night, it's not just your mood or energy that suffers. Your brain suffers. Because it never gets to reset, never gets to release. We talk about detoxing our bodies, juice cleanses, clean eating, but no one talks about detoxing the brain, not with supplements, not with hacks, with sleep. It sounds too simple, right? But think about this. You've probably tried all sorts of things to feel better. More coffee, better planners, productivity apps, therapy, supplements. You've blamed stress, your job, your phone, your life. But what if the real problem is much quieter? What if the issue isn't how hard your brain works, but the fact that it never gets a proper reset? Because that fog you're feeling, that lack of clarity, that overwhelming sense of mental weight, it might be your brain's way of begging you to let it breathe, and you're not alone. Millions of people feel this every day, not because they're doing something wrong, but because no one ever told them the truth about what sleep actually does. That behind your dreams, behind the stillness, there's a full body system working to flush out the waste of your day. Literally, every single night. And when you don't give your body the time it needs, you carry that waste with you into tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, until one day you stop recognizing who you are without the fog. But what if I told you, there's a way to clear that fog? There's a way to give your brain what it's been silently begging for. And no, it doesn't require expensive tools, 5 a.m. routines, or miracle supplements. It just requires that you understand what's actually happening when you sleep. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you something most people never hear. Something most doctors don't explain. Something that might make you rethink your entire relationship with sleep. We're going to talk about a system in your brain that literally washes it clean every night. A system that only turns on when you reach the right kind of sleep. And how you can make sure it does. We'll go inside the brain. We'll see what happens when this system is blocked. And you'll walk away with something simple, but powerful, that you can do tonight to help your brain finally exhale. Because you don't have to live in a mental fog. You don't have to feel broken, slow, or lost. Your brain is trying to help you, but it needs you to sleep. Let's give it a chance. Let me tell you something strange. Until just a few years ago, scientists didn't know how the brain got rid of its waste. That's right. We knew how the liver detoxes. We knew how the kidneys filter. We even knew how the skin and lungs eliminate toxins. But the brain, the most important organ in your body, total mystery. For decades, researchers were baffled because the brain doesn't have a lymphatic system like the rest of the body. So where did all the waste go? How could something so active, so powerful, generating thousands of chemical reactions every second, have no trash removal system? Turns out it did. We just didn't know where to look. And in 2012, a discovery changed everything. Scientists at the University of Rochester found something they named the glymphatic system, a brain-wide network that acts like a garbage disposal unit. It flushes out toxic proteins, dead cells, and leftover metabolic waste. But here's the twist that no one expected. This system only activates when you're asleep, and not just during light sleep, during deep, slow-wave sleep. The kind of sleep most people today aren't getting enough of. Here's how it works. When you fall into deep sleep, your brain cells actually shrink, creating space between them. That space fills with cerebrospinal fluid, which flows through the brain like a gentle wave. This fluid carries away harmful proteins and waste, like beta amyloid and tau, the same toxic buildups linked to Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases. Let that sink in. Your brain has a literal wash cycle that only runs when you're asleep. Now ask yourself this. How often do you give your brain enough time and depth to actually start that cycle? Because here's the thing. If you go to bed late, wake up too early, or toss and turn all night, that cycle doesn't kick in, or it gets interrupted. And all that cellular waste, it stays. And here's what nobody tells you. That leftover waste isn't harmless. It's toxic. It makes it harder for neurons to communicate. It slows down your cognitive function, and it builds up over time, creating a kind of slow, silent decay. The crazy part? You won't feel it overnight. It doesn't scream. It whispers, in forgotten words, in lost focus, in the creeping feeling that your mind isn't as sharp as it used to be. And that's why this topic is so rarely talked about. Because the damage from poor sleep isn't always dramatic. It's subtle, accumulated, but that's what makes it even more dangerous. Because by the time you do notice, the effects have already set in. So let's go back to the question. Why didn't anyone tell you this? Because most of us were taught to see sleep as optional, a luxury, a passive activity that you squeeze in when the day is done. But science is finally proving what your body has always known. Sleep isn't rest. It's restoration. It's maintenance. It's defense. It's healing. And if you skip it, you're not just tired. You're toxic, literally. Still think it's just sleep? We chase clarity, focus, memory, mood. But none of that sticks if your brain is weighed down with waste it never had a chance to clear. It's like trying to work in a room filled with garbage. Eventually, the clutter takes over. But here's the good news. The cleanup crew is still there, waiting, ready. You just have to give it permission, and that permission starts when you close your eyes and let go long enough for your brain to do what it was designed to do. Every single day, your brain works overtime. It helps you make decisions, solve problems, handle emotions, resist distractions, process stress, react to everything around you, instantly, and all of that activity leaves a trace. Not just mental exhaustion, but physical waste. Your neurons, those tiny electrical messengers firing inside your skull, produce chemical byproducts every time they activate. And while you're awake, those byproducts slowly accumulate, like dust in a machine. Now your body is smart. It knows this. It knows your brain can't run with waste building up in the system, so it created a mechanism to handle it. And this is a big but. It only works when you sleep. More specifically, when you reach deep, non-REM sleep, the kind that makes your limbs heavy, your muscles still, and your awareness fade completely. That's when the real magic happens. During this phase, your brain undergoes a quiet transformation. It's almost like a night shift begins, one you never feel but desperately need. Your brain cells, the neurons, actually shrink by up to 60%. This isn't random, it's by design. That shrinkage creates extra space between cells, space that allows cerebrospinal fluid to flood in and flow freely through your brain. Think of it like rinsing water through a sponge, flushing out all the gunk trapped inside. This fluid picks up toxic proteins, leftover neurotransmitters, broken cellular fragments, and escorts them out, through channels, into drainage, pathways, down the spinal cord. Gone. All of this happens while you're unconscious. No effort, no awareness. Just pure, elegant biology. But here's the hard truth. If your sleep is shallow, fragmented, or too short, that system doesn't engage properly. And that means your brain wakes up dirtier than it went to bed. This shows up in all kinds of subtle, and not so subtle, ways. You forget words mid-sentence. You reread the same email 3 times and still don't get it. You feel cranky, overstimulated, or emotionally fragile. You crave sugar. You snap at people. You feel off, but you can't explain why. This isn't weakness. It's not age. It's not laziness. It's neurotoxic overload, and your brain is trying to tell you it needs help. And the problem isn't just the next day. When this happens night after night, you start to build up years of unfinished cleanup. Research has linked chronic poor sleep to the buildup of beta amyloid and tau proteins, substances found in abnormally high levels in people with Alzheimer's. That's not a scare tactic. It's biology. And yet, Most of us treat sleep like an afterthought. We push it back. We skip it. We sacrifice it for work, screens, stress, distractions, all while wondering why we feel so mentally heavy. Let's look at one study. In 2013, researchers at the University of Rochester published groundbreaking work in the journal Science. They demonstrated, using imaging of mouse brains, that cerebrospinal fluid moves much more rapidly through the brain during deep sleep, almost like a wave, carrying away toxins that would otherwise accumulate. When the mice were awake, this flow was dramatically reduced, which means the cleanup process basically shut down. Now translate that to you, to humans, to a society that glorifies hustle and brags about sleeping 4 hours a night. Imagine how much waste we're holding on to. And the worst part? We try to fix it in all the wrong ways. We drink more coffee, we buy brain-boosting supplements, we scroll productivity hacks. We think we need to do more, but what our brain actually needs is less. Less noise, less pressure, less input. What it craves is stillness, silence, safety. The kind of environment that invites deep sleep and gives the brain permission to heal itself. Because your brain is brilliant. It knows how to recover. It knows how to clean house. But you have to stop interrupting it. Here's the moment most people miss. Sleep is not a pause. It's not a luxury. It's not even rest. Sleep is an active biological cleaning process. Your brain doesn't shut off when you sleep. It powers on a different mode. A mode you can't access while you're awake. And it's not optional. It's essential maintenance. You wouldn't drive your car for 10 years without ever changing the oil. But that's what millions of people are doing to their brains, every night. And here's the twist that no one talks about. Your brain doesn't care how many hours you're in bed. It cares about what kind of sleep you're getting. You can be in bed for 8 hours and still wake up mentally exhausted. If your sleep was fragmented, shallow, or hijacked by stress. Because if you didn't reach deep, slow-wave sleep, the cleaning crew never showed up. The fluid didn't flow, the toxins didn't leave, the damage didn't get undone. And here's what that means for you. If you've been feeling foggy, if your thoughts feel sticky, your focus weak, your emotions out of balance, you're not broken, you're not lazy, you're not just getting older, you're full of mental debris that never had a chance to be cleared. And it's not your fault. No one ever taught us this. We were told sleep is a break, that it's passive, that you can just catch up on weekends, that naps make up for it, that productivity is more important. But the truth? Productivity starts with sleep. Focus starts with sleep. Emotional regulation starts with sleep. Mental clarity starts with sleep. Even your identity, the way you show up in the world, starts with sleep. Because without that deep rinse, your brain is like a whiteboard no one ever wipes clean. Each day, more marks, more noise, more smudges, until the board is unreadable, and then we wonder why we feel disconnected, why joy feels distant, why conversations are harder, why we walk into rooms and forget why we feel like a dimmer version of ourselves. Here's the shift. Your brain isn't asking for more hustle. It's asking for relief, for rhythm, for recovery. And sleep is the one place where all of that happens, if you give it a chance. No supplement can replace it. No productivity hack can bypass it. No technology can outsmart it. Because sleep is ancient. It's sacred. And it's the only state where your brain finally gets a moment to clean, restore, and prepare for who you're meant to be. So here's the key. You don't need to do more. You need to undo, to allow, to release. Tonight, you don't need one more task. You need silence. You need surrender. You need the kind of deep sleep that tells your brain, you're safe now. You can begin the cleanup. Because the version of you that's sharp, clear, and emotionally stable, it's already inside you. It's just hiding behind the buildup. And sleep is the solvent. Now you know. You know your brain has its own invisible cleaning system. You know it turns on only during deep, uninterrupted sleep. And you know that without that process, your thoughts become foggy, your memory blurs, and your emotions spin, out of control. But here's the real question. What can you do tonight to help your brain finally clean itself? Because yes, the science is fascinating, but you don't just want to understand this. You want to feel the difference. To wake up and realize, wait, my head feels lighter. My brain feels clear. So let's get honest. Most people treat bedtime like an afterthought. They scroll until their eyes sting. They leave bright lights on until the last minute. They eat snacks, answer emails, binge shows, or sit in anxiety, hoping that sleep will just arrive eventually. But sleep doesn't work like that. It's not something you force. It's something you invite, and the invitation starts way before your head hits the pillow. If you want your brain to clean itself tonight, you have to give it the right conditions. Not perfect ones, just consistent, calming ones. Start by reclaiming your last hour of the day. Not for emails, not for productivity, not for screens, but for you. Your brain needs time to slow down before it can let go. Think of it like preparing a room for a sacred ritual. You dim the lights. You lower the volume. You make the space feel safe. You don't need a complicated routine. You need a consistent signal, a pattern your brain can recognize. So tonight, choose one thing to shift. Maybe it's turning off your phone 45 minutes before bed, or taking a warm shower with the lights low, or sitting in silence with a book and some deep breaths. Whatever you choose, make it predictable. Not perfect, not fancy, just repeatable. Because your brain doesn't crave stimulation, it craves rhythm. And that rhythm is what opens the door for deep sleep. And deep sleep is what opens the door for cleansing. This also means watching what you feed your body before bed. That late night snack you think is harmless? It might be keeping your body's temperature too high and your sleep too light. That last sip of caffeine at 5 p.m., it could still be in your system hours later, gently blocking the very sleep you need. That flood of blue light from your screen, it's telling your brain that the sun is still up, confusing your melatonin and delaying your sleep window. None of this is about guilt. It's about awareness, because once you know what your brain needs to enter the deep state, the cleansing state, you can begin to protect it. You can make small, powerful changes that compound over time, and the change won't just be in how fast you fall asleep. It will be in how you feel when you wake up. Your mind will be clearer, your mood more stable, your energy more steady, and the world around you just a little less overwhelming. You'll find yourself remembering things more easily. You'll notice conversations flowing better. You'll feel like you again. And it won't be because you added some complicated habit to your already busy life. It'll be because you finally gave your brain what it's been begging for. Space. Silence. Time to reset. Tonight, you don't need to chase hacks. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to choose one small thing that helps your brain feel safe enough to surrender. Because when your brain feels safe, it sleeps. When it sleeps, it cleans. And when it cleans, you heal. So here's your invitation. After this video, take a breath. Look at your night with new eyes. Ask yourself, what would it look like to give my brain space tonight? Then try it. Feel it. And tomorrow morning, pay attention. Because the proof isn't in a chart or a graph. It's in how you feel. When you wake up, and if you commit, even just a little, you might just wake up to a version of yourself that's been waiting for this all along. There's a kind of silence that only comes after a long storm, the kind where everything feels still. Like the world and your thoughts have finally exhaled. That's what deep sleep is supposed to feel like. Not just a break. Not just rest, but a reset, a gentle return to center, a full system recalibration. And yet, for so many people, sleep has become a source of frustration, a nightly battle, a question mark with no answer. You lie down, you try to rest, but your brain won't stop. And even when you do sleep, you wake up already tired, already scattered, already behind. But now you know what's really going on. You know that inside your brain is a team, an invisible network, waiting for your signal. You know they only come when you stop, when you let go, When you enter that precious, deep, healing sleep. And when you don't, you carry yesterday with you, the toxins, the noise, the mental leftovers, and those things don't just disappear. They sit, they collect, they dull you, slowly, gently, but relentlessly. You've probably felt it before. That slow fade in focus. That subtle disconnect in conversations. That creeping sense that your brain just isn't keeping up like it used to. But what if that isn't age? What if it isn't burnout? What if it's buildup? What if the real you is still there, just covered in mental clutter you've never had a chance to wash away? Tonight can be different. Tonight doesn't have to be another round of doom scrolling or anxious tossing. Tonight doesn't have to end in exhaustion. It can start with intention, with softness, with a quiet decision to give your brain what it truly needs. Not a new gadget, not a miracle pill, not another productivity hack. Just time, stillness, darkness, and trust, because your body knows how to heal. Your brain knows how to clean itself. Your nervous system wants to reset. You just have to give them the space. And yes, there will be distractions. Yes, life will try to steal that space from you again and again. But now you understand what's at stake. You understand that sleep is the gateway, that deep sleep is your built-in detox, your mental spring cleaning, your nightly rebirth. And with that understanding comes power, because from this point on, sleep is no longer a passive thing you hope happens. It's an active choice you protect, a boundary you honor, a ritual you return to, not just to feel rested, but to feel clear again. Because clarity is a feeling. It's waking up and remembering who you are. It's thinking faster, feeling steadier, moving through your day without that invisible weight pressing on your skull. And once you feel that, even once, you won't want to go back. So here's your seed. Plant it in your night. What I do before bed shapes who I become by morning. Tonight, let that be more than a quote. Let it be a shift. Turn off the noise, dim the lights, breathe. Let your brain know it's safe now. You can clean, you can heal, you can let go. And tomorrow, let yourself wake up clean. So now you know, your brain isn't just tired. It might be full of unprocessed thoughts, toxic buildup, and yesterday's mental debris. And the only way to truly clear it is to give it space, to give it sleep, not just any sleep. Deep, intentional, protected sleep. The kind that tells your brain, you're safe now, you can begin again. If this video opened your eyes to something you've never heard before, if it made you see your sleep and your mind in a different light, let me know. Have you ever felt that mental fog, like your brain just didn't reset? Drop a comment below and share your experience. You're not alone, and your story matters. And if you want more videos that help you understand your sleep, your brain, and your inner rhythm, hit that subscribe button, because this channel isn't just about sleep. It's about becoming clear again. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, be gentle with your nights. Your brain is listening.